Welcome back to Your Moja Speaks podcast episode by Shalonda. Hey there. So I know this is the first episode of the year, so I know it's a little late, but still Happy New Year. This episode actually was recorded prior to the new year, but I just now am releasing it. So I know, forgive me. But I do hope that you enjoy this podcast episode. And we're talking about, of course, foster care, the adulting process after you leave foster care, particularly focusing on social, emotional skills and issues that we have to process. So if that is something that you are interested in, or you know someone that is interested in that type of content, please share the podcast with them and let's dive on into it. Hey y'all, so of course it's winding down, like the countdown is coming, y'all. So I am coming on this podcast and letting you know that, the new year, let's say you are in foster care or you're recently aging out of foster care, this is the time for us to be adults and take action of our lives and our decisions. So it's like, I was thinking to myself in my car and I was like, wow, like I've been sheltered not only by my parents, my grandma, and, all of this, mentors, whoever, right? Like I've been sheltered from them. From them, right? And in certain ways, I also have my independence and my freedom. I was able to do things. I had a job. I was able to freely go. And I also pushed boundaries a little bit more so I can get more responsibility. So not like that, but in terms of someone being able to just cover me from danger, right? And so although I see myself as a very ambitious person and going after what I want, I also seen that in certain situations where I put myself in danger, I had the privilege of being able to be sheltered from harm. And honestly, y'all, that was like a true blessing, because I definitely got out of some things. Like I could have had a criminal charge for something very minor. As a minor, I could have gotten this charge for something as, petty theft or something, right? And when I think about it now that I'm older and aged out, I'm like, that is ridiculous. That's crazy. But it was a technique that I would use to get attention. So that was my way of getting attention and manipulate a situation. And although it was not right, y'all, but I recognized it as a way to manipulate the situation. And I'm happy that I was sheltered enough and covered enough that people seen that I was a good child, a good kid, a good teenager, and I was going places. It was just that I was acting out in ways to get the attention that I deserved and that I needed. I really needed. And from people that I needed it from, not the peers, not my friends, not, people who weren't doing the right things. I don't need that type of attention. And I never sought out that attention. But I needed attention from my support team. And that was the way that I got it. However, when I aged out of foster care, I started to realize that you no longer have that coverage. You no longer have that support, especially if you don't create it for yourself. So for me, I created my support through mentors. I checked out every program that was free to me, and people were like willing to talk to me and help me and guide me through whichever direction I was going into. So I had mentors for my career, for my personal. We could just hang out as, kind of like a girlfriend, big sister, basically. And then I would have my more professional mentors who guided me through school and what I wanted to do with my career. So, excuse me. I'm letting my coffee get all cold. I definitely do not like a cold coffee. But I allowed things to happen and decisions to be made, and I separated myself from my support group, my team that would help guide me. And because I did that, I made mistakes, or I learned some lessons. And honestly, it came to the conclusion that I was just like, y'all, I really don't have that support or that shelter anymore. And it really takes me to make concrete decisions and choices in my life in order for me to really go forward and on the path in which I want to go forward in and on. And then it was like, what did I used to do that made me more ambitious, made me more successful? What was I doing in high school and college, early college, mid-college years that allowed me to be successful? So when I first got into college, my first semester, I bawled my eyes out because that first semester was a fluke. I basically failed. I had a 2.5 GPA, averaging like a B/C average. And I was like, oh, this is awful. Like, I just hate it. And I've never had that before. So of course I was crying my eyes out, like, what is wrong? I'm not cut out for this. Like, everyone told me I was going to do this. And I was so upset. Oh man, I was just so upset. And then once I, of course, got my tears out, I started to go and look up resources. There has to be resources for me to learn. Like, they're not going to place me inside of these classes without the necessary resources to help me succeed, right? And so I reached out to all of the resources that I possibly could. And at that time, I started working my plan. What was I doing in high school? Got mentors. What did I do when I flunked basically in my first semester? I got mentors. I got a peer mentor from the TRIO program. I went to CSU, so they have the task center, and they have tutors and success coaches. And I went and got me a tutor for particular classes and a success coach. Now, the success coach taught me structure, because in high school, I did not have no structure, y'all. I was just like free flow and go. It was like, what is the need for a structure? I know exactly what's happening. My teachers tell me, this is what we're going to do. They don't even give us like the necessary things where it's really preparing you. So I was just like, my high school, they were good, but they weren't excellent. And so I learned quite a bit of skills in my high school, but when I got to college, it was like, something a little different. And so in college, you really just have to take ownership. You really have to adopt truly faster, because you have to do everything on your own. And sometimes it takes someone teaching you one time, or showing you one time, or going through it with you one time. And after that, you better pick up on the skills, or you're just going to have to keep trying yourself. And so I was like, oh no, let's do something different. Went to my success coaches, got that structure that I needed. And then by that spring semester, I was on a dean's list, and I was like, yeah, I'm ready. So I say all this to say, we have to parent ourselves. We have to look for the opportunities that we want. We have to put ourselves in places that we know we need to be in, because the people that we need to talk to are there. We need to be prepared. And if we are not prepared, right? Because I was not prepared in certain areas to go to college. We need to gain the knowledge to get to that level of preparation, to instill certain principles and